Sa totoo lang, Mr. President, 3 years ago, binanggit ko na po dito sa bulwagan na ito na yung mga kababayan po namin, wala nang inaasahan eh. In fact, kahit pagkausapin nyo po, sasabihin sa inyo, wala na, hindi nyo naman magagawa yan. So sana po, malaking challenge po sa atin, lalo na dito sa Senado, itong problemang ito. Mr. President, may pahabol po ang ating mga kasamahan. We recognize Senator Bongo and then afterwards, Senator Robin Hood Padilla, who wanted to make a manifestation as well, Mr. President. Please.
Senator Bongo is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I join Senator Ping Lacson in condemning the irregularities in the allocation and implementation of flood control projects. Mr. President, as manifested yesterday in the Blue Ribbon hearing, hindi po katanggap-tanggap na habang tumataas ang budget para sa flood control, pataas rin ang pataas ang pagbaha. Sabi ko nga kahapon, bakit hindi nyo lang po ilaan ang budget para sa health katulad sa pag-upgrade ng mga hospital ng PGH na madalas rin pong binabaha. Nakita natin sa video kahapon o sa picture na binabaha. Dapat doon na lang po paglaanan ng pondo at sa DPWH na meron po silang 880 billion kumpara po sa health budget. More than 1/3 lang po ang pondo ng health kumpara sa DPWH. Bakit hindi na lang po ilaan ng pondo para sa ating mga healthcare workers na marami pa pong hindi nababayaran ang health emergency allowances? Ano ba ang mas importante sa inyo? Serbisyo na pinaghirapan, services rendered, o mga proyektong ginagawang gatasan? Natanong ko nga ito kanina sa health hearing sa mga unprogrammed appropriations, baka pwede nyo naman pong unahin na lang pondohan itong mga hiya na obligasyon po ng ating gobyerno. In light of recent events, President Marcos Jr. has launched an investigation on the implementation of flood control projects in the past years. Sa mga inireport ng Pangulo, malinaw na may anomalya dito, malinaw na may systematic na ang modus dito mula sa pag-identify ng mga proyekto hanggang sa pagpondo ng mga ito at pag-implementa ng mga proyekto. Mr. President, sa totoo lang po, noon pa lang, 2023, August 9, hiningi na natin sa DPWH ang kanilang accomplishment report, master plan at strategic prioritization sa kanilang mga flood control projects. During the hearing, tinanong ko mismo kay Secretary Bonoan na bakit may mga flood control na pinaglagyan ng proyekto na wala namang tao, wala namang kinokontrol o pinoprotektahang tao, wala namang kinokontrol na baha. Pero doon po nakalagay sa mga liblib na lugar. That was August of 2023. Mr. President, allow me also to take this opportunity to clarify and answer malicious reports, no? Kasi ako po, wala pa ako sa mundong ito. Yung aking pamilya may negosyo na po. And the insinuation that I was personally involved and had benefited in some projects, Mr. President, these are all recycled and malicious accusations. Noong 2018 pa po ito, nabalik na naman ng 2021 habang papunta po sa eleksyon. Ulitin ko po, for the record, wala po ako sa mundong ito. Meron na po negosyo ang aking pamilya. Pero ni minsan po, ni piso, hindi nakinabang ang aking pamilya sa pagiging taong gobyerno ko. In fact, hindi po nakakalapit ang aking mga kamag-anak kahit na nasa Malacanang kami noon. Hindi po sila nakakalapit. At isang naging kondisyon ko noon, Mayor pa po si former President, former Mayor Duterte, na kung lalapit po ang aking kamag-anak, ay ako po ang magre-resign sa kanya. I observed delikadesa at yun lang po ang puhunan ko sa mundong ito, ang aking pangalan. At alam nyo naman po, uso po yung name dropping, yung ibang mga kamag-anak natin, yun pa ang nagpapa-VIP, yun pa ang nagpapa-importante. At sa tinatagal-tagal ko na pong paninilbihan sa gobyerno, isa lang po ang may pagmamalaki ko. I observed delikadesa, yan po ang ginagawa namin noon pa hanggang ngayon. I am a senator, a legislator. Wala po akong kinalaman sa implementasyon ng kahit na anong proyekto, lalong-lalo na po sa pag-identify at na makikinabang po ang aking pamilya. At ngayon, I also co-authored Senate Bill number 783. Ang panukalang ito ay layong ipagbawal na pumasok sa anumang kontrata ng gobyerno mula sa national level hanggang sa LGU level. Ang mga kamag-anak ng government officials hanggang sa 4th civil degree of consanguinity and affinity ay dapat po bawal po. Mr. President, sa laki po ng pondong pinag-uusapan dito, hindi po sapat ang audit o reporting sa mga ginagawang flood control projects. Hindi sapat ang explanation mula sa mga kontraktor o DPWH. Dapat po'y merong managot dito at dapat po'y maging accountable po sila. Dapat may managot po sa perwisyong patuloy na dulot ng pagbaha na dapat sana noon pa nasolusyonan. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Bongo. Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. President, may I move that we suspend consideration of the privileged speech of Senator Ping Lacson.
Is
So
there-
move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, at this juncture, I move that we proceed with the additional reference of business.
Mr. Secretary, please read the additional reference business.
Additional reference of business bills on first reading, Senate number 751, recognizing motorcycles as public utility, vehicles amending RA 4136, the Land Transportation and Traffic Code as amended, and RA 7160, the Local Government Code of 1991 as amended, and for other purposes, Senator Marcos.
Public Services and Local Government.
752, amending PD 194, authorizing aliens as well as associations, corporations, or partnerships owned in whole or in part by foreigners to engage in the rice and corn industry and for other purposes, Senator Marcos.
Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform, and Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship.
753, an act to promote reforestation and to increase wood production through the establishment of tree growing agreements, Senator Marcos.
Environment, Natural Resources, and Climate Change, Ways and Means, and Finance.
754, providing for the modernization and capability enhancement of the Philippine National Police, appropriating funds and for other purposes, Senator Marcos.
Public Order, Dangerous Drugs, Ways and Means, and Finance.
755, modernizing the Bureau of Immigration, defining its powers and functions, expanding, rationalizing, and further professionalizing its organization, upgrading the compensation and benefits of its officials and employees, appropriating funds and for other purposes, Senator Marcos.
Justice and Human Rights, Civil Service, Government Reorganization, and Professional Regulation and Finance.
756, establishing a campus of the Cebu Normal University in Argao, Cebu, to be known as the Cebu National University, Argao Campus, appropriating funds therefore, Senator Marcos.
Higher Technical and Vocational Education, Finance.
757, amending RA 7941, an act providing for the election of party list representatives to the party list system, appropriating funds therefore, otherwise known as the Party List System Act, and for other purposes, Senator Marcos.
Electoral Reforms and People's Participation.
758, recognizing individual rights over one's likeness and identity, regulating the creation and use of deepfakes to disclosure, consent, and platform accountability, providing remedies and penalties therefore, and for other purposes, Senator Aquino.
Science and Technology and Public Information and Mass Media.
759, an act to modernize the National Business Development Services ecosystem by amending RA 10644, the Go Negosyo Act, Senator Aquino.
Trade, Commerce, Entrepreneurship, Economic Affairs, and Finance.
Senate number 760, amending RA 11337, the Innovative Startup Act by expanding the definition of startups, strengthening interagency coordination, establishing a startup program secretariat, providing additional measures to promote innovation-driven enterprises, Senator Aquino.
Science and Technology, Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship, Ways and Means, and Finance.
761, an act to modernize the development of MSMEs by amending RA 6977, otherwise known as the Magna Carta for Small Enterprises, as amended by RA 9501, the Magna Carta for Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises, Senator Aquino.
Trade, Commerce, Entrepreneurship, Economic Affairs, and Finance.
Senate number 762, establishing a program to formalize micro and small enterprises to simplified registration, transitional support, and access to government assistance, Senator Aquino.
Trade and Commerce, Entrepreneurship, Banks, Financial Institutions, Currencies, Ways and Means, and Finance.
763, establishing a national supplier development program to strengthen MSME participation in domestic and global value chains, creating a supplier development fund, and providing incentives to anchor firms in support of Tatak Pinoy strategies, Senator Aquino.
Trade, Commerce, Entrepreneurship, and Finance.
764, establishing regional research development and innovation committees to strengthen regional innovation ecosystems and implement RA 11293, the Philippine Innovation Act, at the regional level, Senator Aquino.
Economic Affairs, Trade, Commerce, Entrepreneurship, and Finance.
765, ordaining the promotion of social enterprises to alleviate poverty, establishing for the purpose the Poverty Reduction through Social Entrepreneurship Program, and providing support, benefits, and appropriations therefore, Senator Aquino.
Trade, Commerce, Entrepreneurship, Social Justice, Welfare, and Rural Development, Ways and Means, and Finance.
766, institutionalizing sustainable livelihood program of the Department of Social Welfare and Development, appropriating funds and for other purposes, Senator Tulfo E.
Social Justice, Welfare, Rural Development, and Finance.
767, further amending Article 99 of Act Number 3815, the Revised Penal Code, and for other purposes, Senator Tulfo E.
Justice and Human Rights.
76A, penalizing the generation and the dissemination of fake news, amending RA 10175, the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012, Senator Tulfo E.
Justice, Human Rights, Public Information, Mass Media.
769, institutionalizing the Metro Manila Drainage Master Plan, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, Senator Tulfo E.
Public Works, Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, Futures, Thinking, and Finance.
770, implementing the people's right to information and the constitutional policies of full public disclosure and transparency in public service and for other purposes, Senator Ejercito.
Public Information, Mass Media, Civil Service, Government Reorganization, Professional Regulation, Finance.
771, institutionalizing a varsity sports program in elementary and secondary schools and for other purposes, Senator Villanueva.
Basic Education, Sports, and Finance.
772, amending RA 7309, an act creating a board of claims under the DOJ for victims of unjust imprisonment or detention and victims of violent crimes and for other purposes, Senator Padilla.
Justice, Human Rights, Social Justice, Welfare, and Rural Development, and Finance.
773, mandating the establishment of a 20-year sports excellence roadmap to strengthen grassroots sports programs and develop world-class elite athletes, appropriating funds and for other purposes, Senator Cayetano P.
Sports and Finance.
774, an act instituting a national land use policy, providing the implementing mechanisms therefore and for other purposes, Senator Cayetano P.
Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, Futures, Thinking, and Finance.
775, strengthening the incentives for private sector participation in public educational institutions, amending RA 8525, the Adopt a School Act of 1998, Senator Cayetano P.
Basic Education, Higher Technical and Vocational Education, Ways and Means.
776, an act providing for an education roadmap towards global competitiveness and human capital development, Senator Cayetano P.
Higher Technical and Vocational Education, Basic Education.
777, instilling and strengthening the sense of patriotism and nationalism among the youth through the institutionalization, development, and administration of fundamental and specialized programs in the basic education curriculum in all public and private educational institutions, Senator Cayetano P.
Basic Education.
778, recognizing the civil effects of church annulment decree, Senator Cayetano P.
Women, Children, Family Relations, Gender Equality.
779, recognizing the foreign decree of termination of marriage and allowing its subsequent registration with the Philippine Civil Registry, amending EO 209, the Family Code of the Philippines, Senator Cayetano P.
Women, Children, Family Relations, Gender Equality.
780, authorizing the DOH to set and approve the bed capacity and service capability of all DOH hospitals, Senator Cayetano P.
Health and Demography and Finance.
781, promoting sustainable and alternative modes of transportation and mobility options to improve air quality, increase efficiency, reduce congestion, and promote public health, Senator Cayetano P.
Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, Futures, Thinking, Public Services, and Finance.
782, protecting the identity and physical attributes of individuals against the wrongful and improper use of artificial intelligence technology, exacting accountability, and for other purposes, Senator Escudero.
Science and Technology and Public Information, Mass Media.
783, disqualifying relatives of public officials within the fourth civil degree of consanguinity and affinity in all government contracts, Senator Escudero.
Civil Service, Government Reorganization, Professional Regulation, Finance.
784, providing for the condonation of unpaid obligations on the power consumption of Public Utilities Department, no longer proceeded to the Power Sector Assets and Liabilities Management Corporation, Senator Escudero.
Energy, Ways and Means, and Finance.
785, establishing the framework strategy on sustainability reporting covering environmental, social, governance considerations, institutionalizing assurance therefore and for other purposes, Senator Legarda.
Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, Futures, Thinking, Trade, Commerce, Entrepreneurship, and Finance.
786, providing for urban and countryside greening in the Philippines through mandatory tree planting and adoption of forest sanctuary by public schools under the DepEd, Senator Legarda.
Basic Education, Higher Technical and Vocational Education, Finance.
787, an act institutionalizing the Sustainable Livelihood Program and appropriating funds therefore, Senator Legarda.
Social Justice, Welfare, and Rural Development, and Finance.
788, institutionalizing barangay functionaries, defining their roles, providing for their benefits, professionalization, and other forms of support, and for other purposes, Senator Legarda.
Local Government and Finance.
789, institutionalizing the poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship program, promoting social enterprises with the poor as primary stakeholders, strengthening support systems for social impact economies, Senator Legarda.
Trade, Commerce, Entrepreneurship, Social Justice, Welfare, Rural Development, Ways and Means, and Finance.
790, providing for the Magna Carta for Public Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Workers, Senator Legarda.
National Defense and Security, Peace, Unification and Reconciliation, Civil Service, Government Reorganization, Professional Regulation, Finance.
791, defining the rights of women deprived of liberty in jails and correctional facilities and providing funds for their enforcement, Senator Legarda.
Justice and Human Rights, Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality, Finance.
792, strengthening rooming in, breastfeeding, and breast milk banking practices in the Philippines, expanding and amending RA 7600, the Rooming In and Breastfeeding Act of 1992, as amended by RA 10028, and providing funds and mechanisms therefore, Senator Legarda.
Health and Demography, Ways and Means, and Finance.
793, an act for the reallocation of a new spectrum for distance learning, research and development, and for other purposes, appropriating funds therefore, Senator Legarda.
Public Services, Science and Technology, and Finance.
794, further strengthening the incentives for private sector participation in public educational institutions by amending RA 8525, the Adapt a School Act of 1998, Senator Legarda.
Basic Education, Higher Technical and Vocational Education, and Ways and Means.
795, an act institutionalizing the establishment of late-night learning hubs in highly urbanized and first-class component cities to provide safe, sustainable, and accessible public safety spaces, and for other purposes, Senator Legarda.
Local Government and Finance.
796, establishing a comprehensive framework for the acquisition of land for public purposes, including infrastructure development through monetary and non-monetary means, providing flexible modes of possession and compensation, appropriating funds therefore, Senator Legarda.
Justice, Human Rights, Public Works, Ways and Means, and Finance.
797, mandating round-the-clock construction for priority infrastructure projects where economically feasible to avoid delays and public disruption, and for other purposes, Senator Legarda.
Public Works, Labor, Employment, Human Resources Development, and Finance.
798, institutionalizing a unified system for post-death services and estate processing, creating the integrated death management system and death management council, and for other purposes, Senator Legarda.
Justice and Human Rights, Science and Technology, Ways and Means, and Finance.
799, providing for the development and protection of the Philippine handloom weaving industry, Senator Legarda.
Science and Technology, Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship, and Finance.
Senate number 800, an act preserving the indigenous commerce and games of the Philippines, Senator Legarda.
Culture and the Arts and Sports. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, at this juncture, I move that we dispense with the reading of the Journal of the 11th Session, Tuesday, August 19, 2025, and consider the same as approved.
Is there
So
any
moved.
objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, at this juncture and with the consent of the body, I move that we consider and adopt the following proposed Senate resolutions. Proposed Senate Resolution number 74, taking into consideration proposed Senate Resolution number 76. This is commending and congratulating the Philippine Women's National Ice Hockey Team. Proposed Senate Resolution number 72, commending and congratulating the Philippine Youth Chess Team. Proposed Senate Resolution number 68, commending and congratulating the Buglas Filipinas football team. And proposed Senate Resolution number 34, lauding the contributions of Manny Pacquiao, our dear colleague in the field of professional boxing. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. The aforementioned resolutions are hereby adopted.
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Tuesday, August 26, 2025. And again, we wish an advance happy birthday greetings to our Minority Leader, Senator Tito Soto, and Senator Kiko Pangilinan.
I see the smiles of my colleagues. Advance happy birthday to our Minority Leader,
Mr.
to
President.
our former Senate President.
Mr. President, ganyan na lang ba yan, Mr. President? Happy birthday greetings na lang.
Is there any objection? There being none, this session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Tuesday, August 26, 2025.